On the sparkling Caribbean Sea, a joyful family is enjoying a dreamy vacation aboard their yacht. The mother, Julia, decides to take a swim, jumping into the clear water to relax. But almost immediately, she feels something unusual brushing against her. She looks around but sees nothing, chalking it up to her imagination. Moments later, that strange sensation hits again, stronger this time. Feeling uneasy, Julia begins swimming back toward the yacht. Suddenly, something grabs her leg and panic sets in. She screams desperately for help, but her daughter Cassie is lost in her music with headphones on, and her husband Tom and son Ben are too busy fishing to notice. Julia struggles to stay afloat, coughing and spluttering as water fills her mouth. Just when it seems hopeless, Tom realizes Julia is missing. He frantically searches the yacht until he spots her in danger. Without hesitation, he grabs the kids, steers the yacht closer, and dives into the water. Tom reaches Julia, holding her tightly to keep her afloat, and swims back to the yacht. With the children's help, they pull Julia aboard safely. Shaken but relieved, the family comforts Julia, who can't explain what happened and insists it must have been a current. That evening, the mood lightens as they celebrate Ben's birthday with gifts and a cake. While the party continues, Cassie receives a call from her boyfriend. She steps outside with her laptop to talk in private. Suddenly, he shows her enormous dark thunderclouds forming over the city, but just as quickly, the video glitches and freezes. Alarmed, Cassie rushes back to her family to share what she saw. Tom shrugs it off, blaming the poor signal far from land. Then, they hear a strange noise outside and rush to investigate. To their amazement, a pod of whales is swimming past the yacht. Tom explains that whales usually follow the Earth's magnetic field, but storms can confuse them, sending them toward the coast. Suddenly, the yacht rocks violently, causing Ben to stumble. Worried, Tom jumps into the water to check for damage. Moments later, he resurfaces with a cut on his shoulder. Julia quickly stitches him up while Tom recounts the terrifying moment. He felt something huge behind him, and when he turned, the propeller sliced his shoulder. Whatever was lurking beneath the waves was enormous, but completely unseen. What Tom finds next is serious damage to the yacht, and it's clear they'll need help. Julia frantically tries the yacht's radio, while Cassie keeps scanning her phone for a signal, but nothing works. Suddenly, Cassie jumps, thinking she saw something strange, but it's just Ben playing a prank with a mask. Soon, the yacht comes to a complete stop, stranded in the middle of the ocean. Julia finally picks up a voice on the radio, but all that comes through is static and distorted noise. Tom tells everyone they have enough water and food for 4 days, so their only hope is to wait for a fishing boat to pass by. Then the radar blinks, signaling something nearby. The family rushes outside, and their jaws drop. Meteorites are raining down, crashing into Earth with massive impacts. One even falls close to the yacht, so Tom forces the engine to move. Another strikes, shaking the yacht violently. The family clings to each other in sheer terror. Tom soon realizes the fiery balls aren't meteorites at all. They're satellites burning up in the atmosphere. Ben then notices smoke coming from the yacht. Tom checks and confirms. The engine is completely fried. The wind begins howling, so the family retreats inside, unaware that the compass is spinning wildly. The yacht rocks again, and Ben falls, hurting himself. Waves slam against the boat as Tom fights the wind to retrieve life jackets from an outside box, handing them to the family. Then, the power suddenly goes out. Tom sprints to the power control box and flips a switch. When the lights flicker back on, Ben notices Julia's nose is bleeding, and soon she feels dizzy. Cassie rushes to the sink, throwing up. Tom keeps trying the radio, but it's useless. A high-pitched screech fills the air, and the wind grows even fiercer. Julia struggles to keep the doors closed, but a hatch bursts open, and soon windows begin to shatter. Tom lights a flare just before darkness swallows everything. The next morning, the family wakes, shocked but alive, though the yacht is mostly destroyed. Stepping outside, they're met with a horrifying sight. All the oceans have vanished, and the yacht is stranded on dry land. Staring at the desert that stretches endlessly, the family scrambles to figure out their next move. Cassie tries for a signal, nothing. Ben amuses himself with 2 dead crabs, while Tom checks the compass and realizes the magnetic poles have reversed, an event that last happened over 700,000 years ago. Cassie breaks down, realizing her boyfriend is likely gone, and storms off to hide, even shoving her mother away when Julia tries to console her. Meanwhile, Julia and Tom sort through supplies that survived the crash. Ben, trying to be helpful, ties his birthday balloons to a rock, hoping to signal other survivors. Finally, Tom tries the radio again. This time, he reaches a man named Now, captain of a submarine. Now explains his vessel is also stuck on land. He confirms the magnetic pole reversal has caused oceans to retreat and land masses to flood, or in this case, dry out. Most communication systems are down, but occasional tectonic movements suggest the poles will reverse again, and the seas could return within a week. Now advises the family to climb as high as possible, because when it happens, conditions will get extremely violent. Now has room for only 3 people, and after some discussion, Julia and Tom convince him to rescue their kids. He gives them his coordinates. Tom calculates it will take 2 to 3 days to reach the submarine, so he tells the family to rest and prepare, leaving early the next morning. The following day, as the family packs supplies, Tom spots movement nearby, a limping man with a makeshift harpoon and a dog barking fiercely. Tom approaches cautiously, offering a bottle of water, but the man's language is incomprehensible. After drinking, the stranger attacks Tom, striking him with the bottle and kicking him. Julia screams in terror, but it's too late. The man stabs Tom in the stomach with the harpoon. His body twitches for a few moments before the attacker cuts his throat. The man then chases Julia, even throwing the harpoon, cutting her shoulder. Julia doesn't hesitate. She rushes back to the yacht and urges her children to hide while she locks the doors. Cassie and Ben crawl inside the sofa, and Julia hands them the flare gun for protection, before grabbing a knife and taking cover in the bathroom. The stranger pounds relentlessly on the door until he forces it open, barging inside. He grabs some food and starts searching the yacht, eventually heading toward the bathroom. Julia narrowly avoids him, slipping through a hole in the wall. The man looks around but doesn't see her. As Julia tries to sneak away, the dog spots her and lunges, tackling her to the ground. With no choice, Julia kills the dog with her knife. The stranger hears its whine and rushes to its body, breaking down in frustration. Meanwhile, Julia climbs to the top of the yacht and attempts to re-enter through a broken window, but the man sees her first. He knocks Julia down, and she clings desperately to the furniture as he tries to drag her away. In the struggle, she manages to kick him off. The man stomps on her wrist, trying to make her drop the knife, then grabs her hair and slams her face on the floor before throwing her onto the sofa and choking her. The kids have been watching in terror and can't stand it anymore. Cassie emerges and fires the flare gun, setting the yacht on fire. The flames spread quickly, forcing the children to run. Julia goes back for a last stand, kicking the man in the face and grabbing the map with the coordinates, along with their bags. Ben and Cassie cling to their father's body, and Julia joins them so they can say a tearful goodbye together. Suddenly, the man emerges from the yacht, so the family runs as the yacht explodes in a massive fireball. Later, the family stops at a small waterfall to catch their breath. Cassie worries that the stranger might have tracked them because of the balloons, making Ben feel guilty. Julia reassures him it's not his fault and urges the family to keep moving. At a nearby pond, Ben is mesmerized by a hammerhead shark's body. Suddenly, Julia spots the man approaching, and the family takes off running again. They descend a sand dune and encounter toxic waste, forcing them to carefully navigate around it. Moments later, they realize they've lost their pursuer. As they travel, the family sees remnants of the ocean littered on land, dead sea creatures and plastic debris. Ben begins to slow down, and Julia notices he's severely dehydrated. They stop to rest, only to find the water bottle almost empty. Cassie admits she forgot to close it properly, sparking a heated argument. Julia yells, and Cassie responds with despair, claiming survival seems impossible. After a tense exchange, the family continues moving. Eventually, they stumble upon a crashed plane and are startled by sudden movement, but it's just birds. They decide to spend the night inside. Sharing a small snack, Julia is heartbroken to find a family photo inside Tom's jacket. Cassie asks how her parents met, and Julia shares the story. Tom had been her patient at the hospital, declared his love with flowers and a heartfelt poem, and captured her heart. In the middle of the night, Cassie leaves the plane to relieve herself. Suddenly, the creepy man attacks, but Julia jumps on him first, stabbing him repeatedly with fury and grief. Cassie helps calm her down with a hug. The next morning, the family notices the body is covered in fleas, indicating a hidden animal nearby. As they leave, crabs crawl out of the man's mouth. A few hours later, Julia and Cassie stop to check the map, but Ben keeps walking, desperately bending down to drink from a pond. Julia pulls him back, warning that unknown water could be poisonous. The family continues traveling under the scorching sun, covering their heads for protection. Ben starts to feel dizzy, so when they discover old chairs, Julia and Cassie improvise a makeshift shelter. Julia gives Ben a medicine injection, and they agree to spend the night there. Early the next morning, Julia wakes up to a strange, unsettling sound, sensing that danger may still be near. Julia leaves the shelter to investigate and is immediately shocked by a swarm of crabs closing in. She She quickly rushes back to wake her kids, and the family starts running as fast as they can. They come across a huge cargo ship and sprint toward it, noticing 3 crew members still alive. Julia wants to help, but the 2 men refuse, locking themselves inside a container and leaving the family outside. The crabs are almost upon them, so Julia makes her kids climb to the top of the container. As she climbs, the crabs violently pinch her leg, forcing the siblings to help their mother up before she's dragged down. A hole on the side lets half the crabs inside, and the crew fires at them, but there are too many. Soon, 2 workers are overwhelmed and killed, and the last man climbs toward a ceiling hole, only to be dragged down and killed by the relentless crabs. Julia bandages her leg, but soon passes out. She later wakes up in the middle of a sandstorm, alone and panicking. She grabs a dead woman's weapon and searches for her kids. Hearing Julia's screams, Cassie returns, explaining they went out for help but found no one. They reunite with Ben, who's found an open container where they can rest until the storm passes. Julia uses Tom's lighter to cauterize her wounds, enduring excruciating pain. When the storm ends, the family finds water bottles, a radio, and a gun in another container. Julia contacts Now, telling him she's lost the map. He explains he's been attacked by arthropods from the abyss, driven crazy by oxygen. Now warns them to hurry, as the sea will return faster than expected. They only have a few hours. He fires a flare, and the family begins walking in that direction. After a long trek, they reach a broken toilet where Ben relieves himself. The submarine is finally in sight, but a massive rock formation blocks their path. As they navigate, the walls shake violently, triggering a rock slide. Julia pushes her kids out of the way just in time, but a rock wall now blocks their path. She tells the kids to keep going without her, but Cassie refuses, insisting her mother climb. After arguing, Julia promises she'll find them later, and Cassie reluctantly drags Ben onward. The kids climb the rest of the rocks and reach the submarine, finding Now bleeding outside. He tells them it's over for him so they can board the vessel. Realizing there's an extra spot, Cassie rushes back to find Julia. Meanwhile, Julia sees the crab swarm approaching and opens fire, killing a few, but there are too many to fight alone. Cassie appears on the wall and offers her hand. Julia climbs as fast as she can, aided by Cassie, and together they reach the submarine. Ben is already on the roof, firing to distract the crabs. Julia continues firing while guiding her children inside. When she runs out of bullets, she throws the gun at the crabs and joins them in the submarine. They lock the hatch and watch as the crabs surround the vessel, unable to reach them. Finally, the ocean returns. The family straps in as the raging waves toss the submarine, causing Julia to relive everything they've endured and Cassie to vomit. The high-pitched noise returns, knocking them out. When they awaken, Julia and the kids are relieved to be alive. They unlock the hatch and find themselves in a destroyed city, giving them hope to survive and rebuild. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.